What is up, and I welcome each and every one of you back to a brand new Civ 6 or Civilization 6 video. Today we're going to be looking at a tier list for secret societies and also a secret society guide in Civ 6. Secret societies were added really about half a year ago at this point, and they are very strong and pretty interesting, honestly. So we're going to be going through each one, how you get each secret society, what each secret society does, and then at the end, we'll do them in a sort of tier list. I do have chapters, so you can skip ahead to the parts you want to see down below. But yeah, it's about enough for an intro for now. Without further ado, let's get started with number one. How do you get each secret society? Now, there are four different secret societies: Owls of Minerva, Hermetic Order, Voidsingers, and the Sanguine Pact. The way to get each secret society is not 100% guaranteed, but each time you complete one of these steps, you have a certain chance to get the secret societies, if that makes sense. For example, if you get a tribal village, you might get the Voidsinger secret society, but you might not. You might have to go through 3 or 4 tribal villages in order to get the Voidsingers. But yeah, tribal villages give you Voidsingers. Finding a natural wonder will give you the Hermetic Order, dispersing a barbarian camp will give you the Sanguine Pact, and sending an envoy to a city-state will give you the Owls of Minerva. Now, when I mean getting an envoy to a city-state, I mean by any means. So if you're the first person to meet the city-state, you'd get the envoy and possibly get the Owls of Minerva. Now, finding a secret society will give you one governor title, which you could put into your secret society, or like I like to do, put it in another governor first and come back to the secret societies later. Each secret society has 4 levels. The first one is unlocked at the beginning of the game. The second one's unlocked in the medieval era. Third in the industrial era, and fourth in the atomic era. Each era you're going to be able to you're going to need to use a governor title in order to get these. You only get one governor title from discovering the first secret society. You don't get one for each secret society. But yeah, these are world eras, not individual eras, so you have to wait for the world eras, you know, like the whole golden age, dark age timer thing to tick down. But yeah, each secret society is good in its own right. Let's get started with the Owls of Minerva and talk about what makes it so good. The first secret society, the Owls of Minerva. Now, the Owls of Minerva is definitely a great secret society. You're going to have so many spies, harbors, trade routes, all that good stuff. But the first title, Initiation, will give you one economic policy slot. Each trade route sent to a city-state grants an envoy there. Now, this, in my opinion, is just the best one if you just don't want to micromanage anything. You just want to vibe, you know, chill out, relax, not have to do anything like build an old god obelisk or do anything, because the economic policy slot early on is super powerful. We're talking about God King and extra production. Are you kidding me? Absolutely insane. The second one, Ritual, allows you to construct the Gilded Vault, replacing the bank. It's pretty much a bank that gives you extra culture. It's not the best secret society. It's not bad by any means, but it is still not as good as either Initiation or Indoctrination. Indoctrination is the level 3 of the secret society, which gives you one wildcard policy slot, 2 spy capacity, and your cities gain 4 loyalty and 1 amenity when a spy is in their territory. Now, the wildcard policy slot and the spy capacity make this an absolutely insane indoctrination bonus. And wildcard policies are always good, along with your economic policy slot. You should have more than enough slots for all the cards you want, and then the extra spies will help you steal whatever the hell you want. Rob banks, rob techs, rob whatever. You are going to be able to do a lot with potentially at this point 4 or 5 spies. And then finally, Master Plan isn't the best in my opinion. When you finish a spy mission on the offensive, you gain half the gold, faith, culture, science the target city earned that turn, and you earn 3% of your gold treasury as gold per turn. So pretty much kind of like interest in a way. It's not bad, but at the end of the day, it's not the best Master Plan. It's still pretty solid though, and I would definitely have to recommend this. We'll put it on the tier list later, but the Owls of Minerva are a very good and very fun secret society to play as. And the second secret society we have is the Hermetic Order. Now, when you get the first one, this is probably the worst secret society initiation bonus of all time, honestly. You reveal the leyline resource on the map. It pretty much just gives you a major adjacency bonus to specialty districts, which does sound good, but a lot of the time you're not going to be able to place the districts you want on those ley lines, so it'll kind of like mess up your placement and whatever. But still, if you have like perfectly placed ley lines or something, they could definitely give you a great advantage after you build the districts, obviously. The second ability you get at the medieval era gives you the ability to construct an alchemical society. It's kind of like the Gilded Vault, but it replaces the university and it gives you production, essentially. It's pretty good. You still have to build it, and you can always just build universities and then get this, and the alchemical society will replace the universities. So don't feel like you have to build university, wait on building universities until you get this second card. All universities automatically turn into alchemical society, so you'd be fine. Magus is when it gets really, really good. For every great person you earn, ley lines receive 1 yield equal to that great person's type. Great admirals and great generals earn science because they don't really have a type. So if you get like 5 great merchants, every ley line will give you 5 gold per turn. Great scientists give you science. Great artists, writers, musicians give you cultures, and great prophets give you faith. Now, this is pretty good, aside from the fact that ley lines aren't the most numerous of resources on the map. You're really only going to have a max of 4 or 5, and if you're going to be getting enough to really make those ley lines worth working, you're going to need a lot of great people through a lot of different districts. The final secret society unlock promotion title thingy is called Occult Research. It's a city project that gives you gold while active, and when it completes, it gives you great people points and science for every ley line in the city. Talk about absolutely useless. I mean, my God, I would rather use this as a dead toilet paper in the bathroom, quite honestly. The level 4 is pretty bad, gives you science for every ley line, gives you a bit of great people points, and go, like, why not just go for campus research grants at that point if you really need the science, or any other great person type if you need the great people. The only good thing about the Alchemical Society, in my opinion, is the level 2 promotion, and to an extent, the level 3 promotion. Ley lines are kind of useless for the most part until you get the Magus promotion, and Adept allowing you to get Alchemical societies will help you with production, but I mean, it's just not the best secret society all around. In fact, it might even be one of the worst ones. We'll get to that tier list later. And the third secret society is the Voidsingers Secret Society. Its first promotion is called Melody, allowing you to construct the Old God Obelisk. It replaces the monument, but instead of giving you just culture, it'll give you the culture of the monument plus 4 faith. So if you're going to go ahead and go for like an early pantheon or a religious victory or something, the Old God Obelisk will give you a large amount of faith, especially once you get more cities. Old God Obelisk and Rome is probably the best combination of all time, just so you guys know. As Rome, if you get the Secret Society Melody and the Voidsingers, you would be able to go ahead and just get Old God Obelisks in literally every city without having to build them, which is really nice. Chorus gives you 20% of your faith, turns into gold, culture, and science per turn. It's pretty much Ethiopia's ability, but better and without the hill settlement requirement. It's probably the best ability out of any secret society thing, especially when you're playing someone as Russia. It's a second really, really good ability for the Voidsingers. And the third ability is when it gets kind of not very good unless you're going for a culture victory. You get the cultist unit. It's purchased with faith and uses charges to reduce loyalty in foreign cities and generates the relics of the void. Now, just so you guys know, you can reduce loyalty all you want with these guys, but if the city you're going for is not making negative loyalty, it's never going to rebel, even if you use 10 cultists in one turn and put it at 0 loyalty, just so you guys know. But generates relics of the void, which is pretty much a relic of the void. It's kind of in the name, so I don't know why I'm explaining it. But yeah, it gives you a relic. But at this point of the game, most people are going to have the Enlightenment technology, so relics are really going to lose a lot of their value when it comes to tourism. I guess if you get Christ or Redentor, this would be a lot better. But having to do all that just to make Cultists a somewhat decent unit, the third promotion, Canticle, is really not Canticle. It's really not the best promotion in any of these trees, honestly. Finally, you get Symphony. It unlocks the Dark Summoning, a city project that provides lots of faith while active, and upon completion, raises the amount of loyalty damage done by cultists. Again, this is kind of like Holy Site Prayers, but I think a little better. It's not the worst thing in the world. It's not as bad as Hermetic Order's thing, even though you could argue Hermetic Order is better, but I don't think it is. All in all, the first 2 promotions are amazing. The third one's trash, and the fourth one is passable. Oh my goodness, I thought I almost choked to death. But, yeah, Symphony isn't the best promotion. All in all, the Voidsingers are have a fairly good promotion tree, and they're fairly strong, honestly, but I don't think they are the strongest. We'll get to that in a little bit on the tier list. Last and definitely not least, because the Hermetic Order still exists, we have the Vampire Secret Society. Now, the vampires are pretty much one-trick ponies. For each of their 4 levels, they are going to get 1 vampire unit, and from level 2, they're going to be able to construct vampire castles. Now, taste their level 1 ability, which you get from destroying a barbarian encampment, gives you a free vampire unit in your capital. How strong is the vampire unit? It will always be as strong as your strongest melee unit. So if you have a swordsman, it'll be 35 combat strength. If you have a man-at-arms, it'll all turn to 45 combat strength. But that's not the best thing about vampires. Number 1, they can't die. So if your vampire ends up dying for some reason, they'll just go back to your closest city or vampire castle. And number 2, for every unit that dies adjacent to the vampire, it will gain 1 extra combat strength permanently. There's a cap when killing barbarians, but not when killing enemy civ or city-state units. So theoretically, you could have a plus 50 combat strength plus the base combat strength vampires, and that's completely broken. Now, they can't make use of battering rams, but a lot of the time you really don't need battering rams because you're going to be able to use trebuchets or bombards, or heck, you might even have some swordsmen, which you probably do need as the vampires. But yeah, vampires are very strong units, and the first one just gives you a vampire in your capital, which should help you with domination victory a little bit. Next up is Rising Hunger. You get another vampire unit, and now your vampires can construct vampire castles. In level 2, you may construct 2 vampire castles. Now, how vampire castles work is, number 1, they act like a fort. Number 2, when your vampires die, they automatically go to the vampire castles, and as we go to the next level, they do some other different things. Don't want to spoil it, though. But the way vampire castles work is when you place it, every single adjacent tile provides yields. Those yields go to the vampire castle, and the vampire castle's yields go to the capital no matter where it is. You're not going to be able to work vampire castles in like terrible cities or your new cities. All vampire castle yields will only be worked by the capital city. Now, this is insane in the right situation. Imagine you get something like, I don't know, Yosemite Valley, for example, and you surround it with 3 or 4 vampire castles. Your capital is going to be making an insane amount of science. All that science and production and food and stuff that is by surrounding tiles, even districts, by the way, is going to become yields for the vampire castle. So by the end game, you will have by far the strongest capital of all time. Level 3, Voivode, it's the first time I'm hearing that name, but it gives you a 3rd vampire unit, and you can build another vampire castle, up to 3. Your vampires now intimidate adjacent enemy units, reducing their combat strength by 5, and pillaging now costs vampires 1 movement speed. So after you get the 3rd promotion, 3 vampires, 2 of which should already have a little extra combat strength, you are going to be having an insane amount of vampires. You get the Intimidate promotion, you can pillage now for cheap, not to mention 3 vampire castles will give your capital an insane amount of yields if placed correctly. Level 4, you get a 4th vampire unit, you increase the maximum vampire castle builds to 4, and your units can now teleport between vampire castles. That also accounts for all units, not just vampires. Now, as you can see, this is pretty much the same. You get pretty much the same thing every promotion. A free vampire unit and an extra vampire castle slot. Level 3 gives your vampire units more attack strength. Level 4 gives them more mobility. In my opinion, this is another very good secret society, especially for a domination victory. All the vampires are pretty much melee units that won't die but can't use catapults, or they can't use battering rams or siege towers. By the time you get to the industrial and atomic eras, siege towers won't work anymore, so it doesn't really matter as much. But the fact that your vampires are going to be super strong and they have infinite scaling, essentially, makes them one of the best units in the entire game. Let's move on to the tier list now, the thing you're all here for. Oh boy, the tier list. Now, we're going to be ranking, I think, from S, A, B, and C. There's only 4 secret societies. I'm kind of hoping they make another pack and they unlock like 4 other secret societies. That'd be pretty cool, but I don't know if they're continuing to work on this game. Let me know down below in the comments if you know anything about extra Civ 6 content, or if they're just going to go ahead and continue with Civ 7 or a spin-off game. But I'm only going to be ranking, I'm essentially going to be ranking them 1 through 4, I guess is probably the easier way to say it. The best secret society, in my opinion, is the Vampire Castle. The vampires, again, it's called the Sanguine Pact. You might argue for the Owls of Minerva or the Voidsingers, or if you're new and naive to the game, the Hermetic Order. But the fact that you get 4 free military units, along with the fact that the Vampire Castles can give an insane amount of yields, by the late game, if you get good spots for your Vampire Castles, your capital is going to be absolutely unstoppable. If you have somewhat of a decent capital, it is going to turn into a monstrous city, which means you can win really any victory type through this. The vampires help you with domination. It'll also help you with the science victory, culture victory, religious victory. Your capital is going to be super strong, and you're going to be able to take out your nearest neighbors fairly quickly in the classical or medieval eras. In my opinion, they are the best. Definitely the best for a domination victory, but really for any victory type, in my opinion, the Sanguine Pact is going to be number 1. Number 2, this one was kind of tough, and it really does depend on who you're playing, so again, take this with a grain of salt. Number 2 is going to go to Owls of Minerva. I'll explain why I mean grain of salt a little bit later, but the fact you get an economic and a wildcard policy by the industrial era is amazing. Trade routes sent to city-state gives you an extra envoy is also really nice. The Gilded Vault isn't as good, but it is still definitely decent. The 2 spy capacities will help you with really any victory type, and by the late game with Master Plan, the interest you earn on your treasury is going to be pretty damn good and will help you make a lot of money, as well as finishing offensive spy operations gives you a certain amount of gold, faith, culture, and science. Let's move on to the third one, because I do still want to explain what I mean by a grain of salt when I say take number 2 and 3 with a grain of salt. The Voidsinger Secret Society. Now, Voidsinger's first 2 promotions are amazing. The Old God Obelisk will help you found a religion, and not found a religion, but found a pantheon, and help you get a lot more faith a lot quicker. And the level 2 will give you 20% of your faith into gold, culture, and science. If you are going for a faith kind of game, Voidsingers is infinitely better because of the amazing amount of culture, science, and gold you can make from your 20% faith output. The Old God Obelisk is really nice as well for faith and culture, but if you're not going to go for a faith kind of game, you're not going to be making a lot of faith, then Owls of Minerva would obviously be the better choice. So again, these guys are pretty much tied for, they're pretty much interchangeable, I guess. Owls of Minerva, Voidsingers. If you're going faith, Voidsingers. If you're not, go Owls of Minerva. And finally, level 4, we have the Hermetic Order, the worst secret society. It is by no means atrocious, but it is still pretty bad in my opinion. Revealing ley lines may help you with adjacency bonuses early on, but a lot of the times you're not going to have too many of them, and sometimes you're going to be in places you would want to eventually put districts. So it kind of is like a give or take with the level 1 promotion. The Alchemical Society is pretty good. The production and science is a lot better than the Gilded Vault's gold and culture in my opinion, and you're really only going to go Hermetic Order when you're going for a science victory. So again, it's not the worst thing in the world, the level 2, but it isn't still anything amazing. Level 3, with each great person earned, you're going to receive 1 yield from ley lines. Yeah, I mean, how many great people are you really going to earn by that point? Like, let's say you have 4 or 5 ley lines in your territory, which does seem to be about the average. Sometimes you get like 50, sometimes you get none, but a lot of the times you're going to have like 4 or 5, I'd say, on average. How many great people are you really going to be getting? 6? 7? Really working ley lines with 7 yields? Are they worth a secret society spot? 4, that's what, in total 28 yields in total, and that depends on what great people you're working towards. Maybe you're not going to have any great scientists and just great merchants, for example. Who knows? It's the level 3 is definitely the best promotion in my opinion, but it isn't anything out of this world like level 2 with Owls of Minerva, level 3 with the Vampire Secret Societies, or level 1 or 3 with the Owl, or the level 2 Voidsingers, or level 1 or 3 of Owls of Minerva. Level 4, Occult Research. Again, gold is nice. Great people points are nice. Science for every ley line in the city really isn't going to be all that much. Going for something like campus research grants or going for a specific great people thing is probably a lot better, both in yields in the great people generation and in production as well. Occult Research is pretty expensive. So, I mean, again, Hermetic Order just doesn't have anything to wow you. The best thing's the Alchemical Society, but again, it's not like anything amazing. Level 3, Magus, giving you extra yields for ley lines is nice, but again, like I've been saying, there's just nothing that wows you about this. Thanks to everyone who made it to this point in the video. If you have enjoyed, don't forget to like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And yeah, without further ado, I'll see you all in the next video. Peace. Huge shout out to my members Cash Christian, Ben Ownby, John Blair, Jackson Perez, Polaris Gaming, Emporium, Adam Mester, Jeff Utzler, Kim Cosmos. A really special shout out to my Oh My God subscribers, Robert and Overflow of Amenities.